Everyone. So, in the world of Cursor and Claude, I'm trying to do a coding video. So basically, this is basically trying to iterate a CSV files in a S3 bucket and basically in a folder, and iterate through the CSV files, and then once I'm processing them, I'm moving it to another folder, right? I'm using AWS Wrangler primarily. It's a high-level Pandas API, I think, on top of Boto3. So it's easier to read through Wrangler. I mean, if you have used Boto3, you would know that it requires a few more steps. Probably it is easier to copy as well. I'm not too sure. And the other thing that I'm doing is I'm chunking in, so I'm creating chunks of 5 files and I'm concatenating them to a single data frame because I mean, there might be a use case where the files are too small, only a couple of records. So I want to just bring 5 files over and then just concatenate them and then process them instead of just trying to process each and every file, right? So this is my bucket. As I mentioned, this is a bucket. It has two different folders. The current folder, it has the data. And if you go to the history folder is currently empty, right? I'll install Boto3 and AWS Wrangler. These are the only two things that you need, probably, or rather Pandas as well. I think I already have Pandas installed in my environment. I'm not going to run this cell. You'll need the access key, of course, secret key for AWS and region, whatever you have, and of course, the source and the destination path. So current is my source path and history is my destination path. Importing Boto3, Wrangler, and Pandas, and I will need to create a Boto3 session because AWS Wrangler uses the Boto3 session to make uh, to, to to do what it needs to do, right? So using Wrangler again, I'm trying to get the list of the objects, and I think so. There is a limit, I believe, on Boto3 where it can only give a list of 1,000 records, but I believe Wrangler can do the pagination automatically, and it should give you the entire list. But I've not tried this above 1,000 CSV, so I do not have that kind of data. But you can go ahead and check, right? So when you run this, the file paths, I mean, it's basically a list. So I have the paths here. I'm creating a small function, and this is the chunking bit, right? So I'm just trying to yield a couple of files. So as soon as I pass the list, the total list, it tries to iterate with size that I give. I'm giving 5 here later. So from 1 to 5, it just yields the first five paths in the list, right? So if I do a for batch in chunking, am I doing it right? Let's see. If I do something like this, so it'll just iterate over and yield every time it goes through the for loop, right? So this is what it'll give. And after that, this is the main part of the code. Again, whatever I get, the batch of 5 files, I'm using that, and I'm just going to iterate over the batch, right? So as soon as I get the first batch, I again iterate over that particular batch. I have an empty list created. Once I'm starting to iterate over each and every item of the list, I'm simply reading it through the Wrangler API, right? So it's again taking the file path, the individual item of the list, and it is using the Boto3 session, right? I'm doing a little bit, so I'm just for audit purposes, I'm printing a couple of things out, right? Once I iterate over the single batch, which is a batch of 5, I am appending that to the list. So the list is a batch of 5 data frames, and this is where once that particular batch is done, I am coming out of that internal loop, and the again I'm trying to concatenate the 5 data frames which are part of that list on the row. So I mean, think of this as doing a union of on couple of tables, right? And again, these are again, I'm just printing out a couple of things, and this is where you can do actually your processing. So once I have the data frame, which is concatenation of 5 data frames, you can start doing the processing that you need. I'm doing a couple of things for my project. I'm doing a couple of things here. I'm formatting the data and then pushing it to a data mart. Once that is done, I'm basically copying over the file again. I'm using the Wrangler API to copy the objects. I'm using the file batch. So again, the first batch, which is yielded by the chunking, I'm using that, and giving the source and the destination paths as well. And thread, I mean, if you have a lot of files, you can use this as true. And again, using the Boto session to make the connection. So once I copy this, it copies the data from the current folder into the history folder, right? And then I'm just trying to do some checking on the destination if the files are copied or not, but I'm not sure if this will work, because every time you're copying new files in the history folder, the numbers will keep increasing. So it is, I mean, until unless you want to do a before print and an after print of the number of files, right? You can do that. And once I have copied over the file, I'm just, again using the Wrangler API to delete the files which is there in my source folder, and I'm only deleting the file that I've processed already, right? So this all these statements are under the outer for loop, right? So all these are happening for the first batch which I get from chunking, right? And then it iterates over the other file ranges for in the chunking function, right? So if I run this, let's see what happens. So it's starting to do the processing. It is reading the files that I have, and again, I've just printed a couple of folders. So it's again taking the 5 files, working through them, and deleting those 5 files from the current folder after copying them in the history folder, right? So if I go here, if I just refresh this, oh, there was a refresh button there as well. But you will see the files are starting to come here, and I think by the time I will refresh this, this will be empty. But let's see. Yeah, okay, this is empty already because everything is copied over, right? Yep. Okay. So this was it. I mean, this is how you can copy folders, and you can copy CSV files and process them, and remove them from the current directory. This is kind of an ETL thing that typically you would use. All right. Thanks for watching.